Hey guys, it's Beth, and welcome back to some more Dead by Daylight. And so I have a half-scripted video here. I have a bit of a script talking about what kinds of licenses and collaborations I want to see with Dead by Daylight in the future. Dead by Daylight is famous for its licenses and collaborations, bringing icons of horror all together in one package. Although the collaborations themselves are not always horror themed. We've got an Attack on Titan, For Honor, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and even the Rainbow Six Siege collection, which came out today as I'm recording this. And I thought it would be fun to look at different properties we may get collaborations with someday. And while any of the following discussions could potentially work as full chapter characters, this is more about potential collaborations with skins and cosplays as opposed to full-on chapters. Firstly, I think an oddly likely collaboration is, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I think an oddly likely collaboration is with My Hero Academia. Specifically, what I've always thought of with it is a Himiko Toga skin for Legion, since she fits their vibe and aesthetics really well. You know, Himiko Toga, vampiric villain with a love for cuts and bloodshed, wearing multiple masks and wielding knives and syringes. They kind of fit perfectly for the Legion. That's like the lost fifth member right there. I also think that Jake could very easily get a Midoriya skin, and I think he kind of fits the best for Midoriya's portrayal later on, with how he kind of went off on his own and became a bit of a vigilante. And then I can very easily see Nia slotting into Uraraka, because, you know, you have balanced landing on Nia, and then you have the floaty Uraraka. I also really want a David All Might. Like, that is, like, put two based characters together, and that's what you get. It would absolutely rule. And it's very unlikely, but I think it would be cool given that the series referenced it itself. I would love to somehow see getting a Mina skin for the Xenomorph, but that's incredibly unlikely. But that's just coping on my part. Where the fuck are these generators? Also, a very important thing to note here, and a lot of people will have already pointed it out as soon as I said it. Behavior has a policy where they want all of their characters in game to be 18 at minimum. However, that's more of a guideline than just a rule set in stone. There are several characters in the game that are younger than that. Quentin Smith from Nightmare on Elm Street and Cheryl Mason from Silent Hill are both stated to be 17 in their original media. And then, like, you gotta remember, it's like, because Gabriel is a clone and the Singularity is a robot, both of them designed for the same mission, they are most likely only about a year old. And then, at the literal most extreme one, you have the Xenomorph, which is literally, like, a day old. Like, I'm sorry to say, but, it's a bit less, like, of a requirement than anything else. Behavior, if they have the opportunity to do something cool, they tend to go and decide to do something cool, and they age up the characters to fit their standards. It's what they've done in the past. But speaking of Cheryl Mason in that example, I believe we're probably going to continue seeing more Silent Hill content, but that's pretty apparent. But with the upcoming remake, I can see a new quote-unquote remake skin for Pyramid Head coming. And with the addition of Visceral Mori's in the game, I think we could finally see, if you've ever looked into videos from creators such as Mint Skull, who have shown off different content in the game that's unseen, you know that Pyramid Head, all of his skins and models have a fully modeled tongue, which is a reference to one of the ways that Pyramid Head can kill you in the game. And I could see that being added in later on as a Mori to add to it. Um, and also, if we get remake-inspired cosmetics for Silent Hill, we could also get a Cheryl Mason skin from Silent Hill Shattered Memories, which was basically a reimagining of the Silent Hill franchise. But that's just... that is 100% hopium on my part, because Silent Hill Shattered Memories is my favorite Silent Hill title. That's genuinely what it is for me. um, and, you know, moving on, it's like, I think one thing that we have a little bit of representation with, but not too much of, in the game right now is indie horror. We have the Crypt TV stuff, which is more indie, but when it comes to indie horror games, we don't have anything of that yet. But I feel like we could have some eventually. We could eventually see something like Doki Doki Literature Club, of which I could see Monica as a unique killer entirely. Like, I really think that she could work really well as a nurse skin. Oh my god. I think that Monica would work really well as a nurse skin because of how she blinks through reality, and with her pen, her heart-tip pen as a weapon, I could see that working very well because of how, like, specifically, like, precision-based her nurse's weapon is, and I really just want to see her flick the blood off of it in a gesture of a heart. That's really what I want. But personally, I'd honestly prefer Monica to be a full killer someday, even if getting that skin would make me play nurse more. This game is atrocious, by the way. Like, this is, like... what the fuck has been happening? Okay. Another set of indie characters that I think could be added, specifically as Legion skins, you know. The Legion, you know, when you think of them, you know, you got psycho killers in a problematic relationship in their late teens to early 20s. That's also just how you would describe the coffin of Andy and Laylee. So, yeah. Their weapons would also be very... I feel like that is, like, one of the easiest ones they could do. Like, you basically just have two characters that are basically just already Legion members. Like, that's basically it. That's more of just a goof of an answer, though. And it's only in my mind because, as people on following my Tumblr know, I made a drawing of my OC in that style before, and ever since I posted that on Tumblr, my feed has been completely flooded by that game. It was flooded for like an entire week. But, you know, I'll wash out the taste in your mouth from, you know, that series with another series that I think, of course, we really need to get into Dead by Daylight at some point. Especially since it is one of my favorite series of all time, Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, everyone has wanted to see it integrated for forever. Like, that's just how it is. And while I think that, like, you know, I would love, like, specific killers, like, having an actual, like, real representative and not just, like, a skin, I always, anytime I think of, like... anytime that I think of how you would potentially do a Springtrap killer, I just blank because you see so little of him in the games to begin with. We really don't even know how he killed in the first place. However, one thing that I think would work very well would be to make a Springtrap skin for the Doctor. I think, well, while Trapper may seem a more fitting character at first, the Doctor and William Afton share a lot of characteristics, being sadistic killers whose murders they attempt to justify with scientific progress, with Afton using the souls of his victims to bring life to the inanimate, create new elements, and even conquer mortality entirely. And the electric shocks would also be appropriate in his kit, as with William Afton working on the Funtime animatronics, he used controlled shocks to keep them at bay. I think having the static blast and a ratcheting crank for his power would make a lot of sense. And I think it would work very well for a potential Springtrap or Glitch Trap cosmetics. But in case people, like, of course people want Springtrap as their own killer, even though I can't really see how they'd do that. I see a lot of potential as Scrap Circus Baby to be an actual killer, but not really Springtrap. But in case they ever wanted to make Springtrap, I'd say something that would make people a lot less, like, salty about getting, like, a Springtrap skin instead of a killer. Make them the Yellow Rabbit from the FNAF movie, and get them to actually be voiced by Matthew Lillard. I think literally no one would be upset with that at that point. And of course, we would want a Survivor cosmetic as well. And I honestly you could very easily do, like, any number of different things, but, you know, having a Michael Afton cosmetic for David King, given their shared interests of number 1 being shirtless and number 2 refusing to die, you know, just take David King, take his shirtless outfit, make it purple, and congratulations, you have now created a Michael Afton. But also, speaking of a more colorful franchise overall, you know, another thing that I think is kind of unlikely, but I would be interested in potentially seeing it at some point, would be Poppy Playtime. This is the least likely series in this entire discussion, though, because they have their own Dead by Daylight clone. So yeah, it's a tad bit unlikely for them to be added. However, I could very easily see Mommy Longlegs slotting into a skin for Singularity quite easily. She has stretchy and contorted body. She watches you throughout the game, like how the Singularity can you know, look at you through its cameras, and you know, she might not teleport, but she has, very similar to the slipstream effect that similar to the slipstream effect of of the Singularity, Mommy Longlegs does have a chase sequence at the end of the game. And I'm going to be honest, this one is very unlikely to happen, which is kind of a shame, because I think that skin is, like, the one thing ever that could ever fit the Singularity. Except for maybe, like, a Mangle skin, going back to FNAF for a moment there. I mean, Mangle is, like, the second most iconic character in Five Nights at Freddy's, to be honest. Like, it's Springtrap, Mangle, then probably the puppet, and then probably Freddy himself. That's probably it, I'd say. Alright, moving on to something that's a bit interesting. I'm actually going off of the behavior player feedback survey. So one of the franchises that they mentioned, you know, wanting to potentially get in for people to vote on was, you know, in addition to Five Nights at Freddy's and previously commented ones, is something a bit odd, I'd say, which is, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And for a moment, I was like, how would that even work? You know, with stands, that doesn't really slot in very well with how you make a character in this game. And then I thought about it. So, earlier this year, we got a very small buff to Trapper, and then a slightly bigger buff to Trapper. And basically, what I noticed was, immediately after the buff to Trapper, we got a brand new skin, which was Naughty Bear. So I thought to myself, you know, it's very possible that they want to buff characters before having an interesting skin being added for them. And then suddenly out of nowhere we got a Trickster buff. And then the throwing knives and the Trickster buff and Trickster's identity kind of all coalesced in my brain, and I realized it's very possible that we could see a Dio Brando skin for the Trickster coming in the future. It would have to... Here's the thing. It would have to either be part 1... it would either have to be part 1 Dio or part 6 flashback Dio, as those are the more twink-based Dios, as opposed to the hunk-based Dios in part 3. Which is a problem because the whole knife-throwing thing is kind of the part 3 Dio thing. Yeah. But I could see it working as, you know, Dio could just do his throwing knives shtick. I think that could easily work. And, you know, maybe he could have a Visceral Mori as well, where he, you know, maybe that's when he stops time and throws a steamroller, or, as I would prefer, an oil tanker at you. Or they could use the scene where he attempts to decapitate Jotaro and Polnareff with a stop sign. I think that could also work very well. Uh-oh. Another series that was listed on the survey was Metal Gear Solid, which at first I'm like, I don't know how well that fits, but after seeing the fact that they added Rainbow Six Siege, I guess that doesn't really matter. Also, we literally just saw Metal Gear Solid come to Fortnite just a couple days ago. And, you know, for some reason, Fortnite and behavior with Dead by Daylight have a very close relationship on when they get certain, you know, certain licenses, as Fortnite and Dead by Daylight both got Stranger Things back at the same time. They both have Michael Myers in them. You know, they clearly, like it shows that these brands are willing to collaborate. So it's very possible we could see different skins in the game. Most likely, I'd say David King, Solid Snake. As you may realize, I'm saying a lot of different skins for David King, and that's just because he's kind of just a based character and deserves more skins. And also, because he is a free character, more people have a chance to use them. So, I think that's a pretty good idea overall. I could very easily see David King having a... Why are you trying to heal me? Why? I have the healing perk. Can you please not go after the people who directly just fucking unhooked? Why are you acting like this? Fine, whatever. I could also see an Old Man Snake for Vitoro. I think that would be fun. You know, we could get a Raiden Gabriel Soma, which I think would be fun. I'm not sure what any killer would be, to be perfectly honest. Maybe a Psycho Mantis nurse? That could be interesting. I mean, I would like that, I suppose. And another series that they have listed here is Portal. Obviously, I think people want a GLaDOS killer. I think GLaDOS could potentially work as... GLaDOS could very well work as a Singularity skin, given that, you know, they both set up cameras to watch the player. That's the only real thing I can think of, but because GLaDOS doesn't really attack through direct ways because she was never designed to attack in the first place. Yeah, that's that's mainly my thing there. Another thing that I found interesting was they also have Mortal Kombat as one of the series they could potentially get a licensing for. And, you know, I think people would very much like a Scorpion, oh, that sucked. People would very much like a Scorpion in the game. I think Scorpion would work very well. I think with a little bit of effort, they could potentially make Scorpion work as a Death Slinger skin. But that would take a lot of working out kinks and stuff, so that may be for, like, a whole specific character. Another one of the things on the list that stuck out to me was Another, the anime Another. The only thing I can think of with Another is, you know, the the girl who, you know, the ghost girl, essentially. And that just makes me think, with Another, I won it in the game because I used to love Another. I forget everything about it, unfortunately. I watched that way too many years ago now. We would then have 3 Japanese ghost girls in the game. It's a good, like, it is a very good trope, though, so it just works out. Another thing they have on the list, which is slightly surprising, is, that sucked. I was trying to go for the window for life, but I got slightly body blocked there. Another thing they have on the list, which they've already mentioned they literally can't get, are It and Friday the 13th. We know they can't get It. They've already asked. So it's weird that they put that back onto the list. They've also discussed the fact that Friday the 13th is quite literally just an absolute fucking hell state for, just how much legal dumbassery is involved in that license, so, like, yeah, we are not seeing Friday the 13th happening anytime soon. Anytime soon, rather. Another thing they have on the list is Spawn, which I believe Spawn was in Mortal Kombat, and I think even in Call of Duty. I forget if that's correct, but I'm going... This is no longer the scripted portion. The scripted portion ended at JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think Spawn is possible, but I don't know enough about Spawn to say, like, what they could realistically add. Yeah. Oh, jeez. One of the things they have listed here is Castlevania. I can see, you know... I'm not sure if they could put in Dracula. I think Dracula is not a character that you can, like, easily put into something. I don't think that's how that works. Oh my god, fuck this dude. I hate this dude so much. But yeah, I can see some Belmonts being added in as skins for survivors. I think that would work very well. Or Alucard. Alucard could very easily work as well. But I'm not particularly sure who I would give those skins to at this point. Like, I really don't know. Bro, fuck off, actually. Retire and be a family man. Another one they have here is Predator. Predator could very easily slot in as a skin for either Skull Merchant or Wraith. I feel like that's fairly apparent. Somehow the Adams family is listed here. I guess we could get like Wednesday skin for like Meg or Nia or Michaela. That would make sense. Yeah, like there is a lot that you could potentially do for a whole bunch of different cosmetics, and those were just some of the ideas that I've had, and some of the ones they have listed in the past. And yeah, that's about it. So, the general overview of my thoughts are that we could very easily get a Himiko Toga skin for Legion. We could get remake Pyramid Head as well as Shattered Memories Cheryl Mason. We could get a David All Might. We could get Springtrap Doctor. We could see Monica Nurse. We could see Andrew and Ashley as Legion. We can see a Mommy Longlegs Singularity. We could see a Mangle Singularity. And we can see a Dio Trickster. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Whether how likely they are, who knows? Anything could happen, you know? Supposedly this game's going to have a crossover with Fortnite, and after Rainbow Six Siege, literally anything could be added to this game at this point, so yeah. Let's all be hopeful and hope for cool things coming in the next year. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I hope you have a happy holidays and a happy new year.